actually here to have dinner.
And we are live with the one and only James Krake, the cyberpunk guy. James, what series of unfortunate choices led you onto this channel?
Okay.
Oh, well, once you've made that first choice to start publishing books online, you take
desperate.
If someone says, "Hey, you want to talk about your books?" and you're just like, "Yes, I would actually love to talk about my books."
Well, I think Mike's question then holds up, because if you've ever seen this show, talking about the person's books is something we kind of graze across as we talk about other stuff.
Well, I mean, convincing people that I'm an interesting guy with interesting ideas is what I hope to do, because that's how I sell books.
Okay, wow. I'd like that we have at least one interesting person on the show.
I didn't say I'd be convincing.
And
look at this.
I have to say, yes, look at that. Somebody from Twitter
the mayor
can now
of Orc City is here. Holy God.
Oh, hey,
Oh my
I
goodness.
know that guy.
And Tobias is here. And the mayor of Orc City is here not once but twice. So, and then there's that Canadian guy who just keeps stalking us.
I think he's actually on another show right now too. But it's pre-recorded. So thanks for being here, Tim.
Yeah.
So, all right, James. So, what makes you so interesting then?
Well.
Sorry. I'll tell you what. If you want to think now, you've written how many books?
Well, it depends on how you count. I believe I have 6 out, or am I at 7? I think I'm at 6.
It's not fair that you ask us the same question we ask you.
Screw it. I'm at 6 or 7 on Amazon and the equivalent for free on Royal Road. But when it's a web novel, like, do I get to count each book length installment as a different book?
Sure, why not?
Sure.
Then I'm at like 13.
13.
Awesome.
Yeah. We'll go with 13. So Royal Road, how does that work? That's something we don't really talk about a lot here, because we don't run into a lot of people who use it, but I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, so there's kind of this big divide in the indie sphere for no apparent reason, where a lot of people are trying to go the traditional route, even though indie publishing is not traditional. But the idea of like selling a book and it's like, pay me up front the $3 for the ebook or the $18 for paperback because printing. And that's how they try to make a living or just try and get their name out or whatever. Whereas with Royal Road, the monetization is completely different, where generally what you're trying to do is get people to subscribe to like Patreon or some equivalent so that they can read ahead in a continuous series. So it's sort of like a freemium model for reading, where you let people get in on your backlog, and once they're invested, then they're willing to go, hey, I like this guy. Yeah, I'll chip in a couple bucks a month so I can read, so I can stay a month ahead of, the free readers. And some people have found fantastic success. So if you aren't that familiar, but like Dungeon Crawler Carl's on there, Worm is on there, Mother Learning, Wandering In, a lot of big name genre fiction stories came out of Royal Road. It got picked up by small publishing houses who footed the bill for like audiobook adaptations and such. Problem is Royal Road is like super cutthroat essentially, and if you are not releasing like 7,000 words per week constantly, then people just aren't that invested, no matter how good your story is. So that's probably what drives the divide between traditional publishing and web novel. Is web novel takes your entire time. Personally, I release about 2,000 words a week, one chapter every week, and that's like way below average. But that's because I'm also writing like space opera stuff that I put out.
So, James, if you're way below average, you have found your home here. We're glad you're here.
Right. You are amongst your people.
Well, I also don't cheat. There's a lot of word count cheating on Royal Road because it's like the home of lit RPG, where they will put like the entire stat block and they'll just copy paste that in and have this massive brick of text in the blue box formatting. And that's how they get to their word count is copy pasting. But people eat it up. I'm not personally one of those people, but it's very popular.
So you're not making your living on Royal Road then?
No, I make my living by making machines cheaper, essentially. I wish that I was making money with my writing, but welcome to 2025's economy.
Well, so you have an engineering degree.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever?
Which definitely informs the sci-fi.
But do you ever look at the people who got, like, say, English degrees and think to yourself, wow, my 4 years of college would have been so much easier, and it would be better for me now?
I think he likes the roof.
Or do you like living in a house?
So I
That's
did. So I had some electives when I was in college, and one of my electives was a creative writing course. I think I would have gotten in a physical altercation with those teachers by the end of a degree. At least with math, you know if you're right or wrong, and it's not just some bored old person's opinion on whether you're right or wrong.
See, that always bothered me with that kind of thing, is that if it's a what do I think question, I should get an A, right? Because it doesn't matter. This happened to me in high school, right? We had to do a report, and like I gave this very well-reasoned report on why Stephen Crane sucked, right? And why the Red Badge of Courage, I still remember this to this day, so I guess learning occurred. He was paid like $90 for that novel, and I said he was overpaid, right? And kids in class afterwards said, dude, that is like what everybody wanted to say. You're going to get an F, but that's what everybody wanted to say. And I said, no, she can't give me an F. I mean, it was my opinion, and I got an F. But so I get that, right? I mean, math is like it's either right or it's wrong. There's no two ways about it.
All right. To answer Mr. Anderson's question, essentially, because the chapters come out as you release them. It's not like you release the entire plot arc, although I guess you could. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. But people like to have a habit of, oh, it's Wednesday evening. I'm going to go read the latest chapter of James's novel.
So, James, I have questions for you because I asked you off camera, and you don't know Laura Huey, but she just started doing Royal Road, and she finished up her first isekai novel or whatever, and she's telling me that this series should have been on Isekai. That just published the first book installment of the series the end of July. But she also said that she was told have about 30 weeks of stuff written before you start loading it up. Are you someone who does that, or are you one of the crazy people that's like, oh no, I'll just write another 2,000 words today and then upload it?
Little of A, little of B.
Oh,
so I'm at a steady state with my long running epic fantasy where I just kind of write the chapter each week because that's my fun one. But I did attempt another fantasy novel, which I did just write the whole thing and then tried to do a release schedule and tried to line up a bunch of reviews. And the problem with Royal Road is people are extremely fickle about comparing what your engagement is for how many chapters are out. And if they don't see enough engagement at certain, chapter thresholds, they just won't give you a shot. So dumping a million words theoretically helps if you have the follow through.
Well, no, what she had said was have like 30 chapters written and then do chapter 1, then next week you do chapter 2, and that way you have
no.
half
it's
a
like
year.
Chapters on the first day. Like the optimized way to succeed on Royal Road is like 3 chapters on the first day, 2 on the next day, and then like daily releases for 2 weeks.
Oh God!
And then you slow down.
Oh, okay. But
you're trending, in which case you better be writing that every single day and so you can keep the daily releases.
Oh, what she had said basically have like 30 chapters written before you start uploading anything, and that way you have at least a little bit of time between, and you're not doing.
You'd have about 2 weeks.
Yeah, she's like, then I don't have to. I have to finish this tonight and upload it. Sort of scenario.
I've never done that. So.
That just sounds way too stressful.
Yeah,
depends on how easy the story is for you to write.
But he's making a big
my long-running military politics story is very easy for me to write. So So, sometimes I finish writing a chapter, copy paste, upload immediately.
So how many different genres are you writing in?
So by volume, epic fantasy. Second would be cyberpunk. I have released, like far future space marine stuff. I dabbled in horror, comedy. I have an upcoming book that's technically a romance, but it's romance for men. So I don't know how to market that. That's one of my holdups. I mentioned horror, so about 5, I guess.
And what's your favorite?
It's got to be cyberpunk. As much as I enjoy just like turning my brain off because I've read a lot of history for writing fantasy, the speculation about new technology and how that's going to impact people's lives, how people are going to adapt or rebel to it, and how people are going to live under the new paradigm, such as what does an omnipresent surveillance state actually mean? Is that just code for the government hates you and wants to ruin your life? Exploring those questions really gets me thinking. And there's actually a lot more creativity when it's like, all right, I need my detective to go meet with, this operative from the research department. They're going to meet somewhere in the city. So I have to make up some locale where it's public, but it's also private enough that they can talk. So it's going to be some functioning business in this cyberpunk megacity. What's that going to look like? What's going to be their gimmick to get people to show up? Because there's like 1 billion people in this city and they're all competing for money. So what's the quirk here? And that's a lot of fun for me.
So what distinguishes cyberpunk from science fiction?
It is a subset that mostly refers to a category of technologies that it focuses on, such as burgeoning AI, rather than it's just a thing that you have. I focus very heavily on virtual reality and neural implants in my setting. If you want to get into the literary side of things, you got to start talking about like identity and the oppression of the individual by society and such. A lot of people think cyberpunk is shorthand for "good God, I hate capitalism." I don't personally take that avenue. Obviously, if you Google that, you're probably going to see a lot of gender identity in a lot of popular cyberpunk as well, which is not something I'd focus on. I'm looking more at government policy, to be honest. I like the punchline, though. Cyberpunk is neon lights reflected in a gasoline spill. That's what you want, that the low to the earth, grimy feel of its noir roots, but brought forward, say, 50 years of technology.
Nice. And you, how much extra research or whatever does it take to get into something like that, as opposed to fantasy or Space Marines?
As a writer or a reader?
Writer.
That's hard to say, because cyberpunk almost has an advantage, because by intentionally setting the technology closer to reality, like you can just watch the news. You can watch Elon Musk working on Neuralink and go, how is this, brain computer interface going to affect reality when it's as common as a smartphone? So if you're already plugged into reality, the cutting edge of reality, it's not that much extra. Obviously, you have to look into like your typical genre tropes. So like, okay, how do I write a detective mystery story? But you have to do that for anything. When it comes to like, say, Mil SF, when you want to write about a platoon of Space Marines raiding a bunch of aliens, technically, I feel like that should be significantly more research, because you're talking about, like, say, 1,000 years from now, and you have to try and catch up with like, well, what happened between today and the year 3000? How is that going to impact things? What are the new tools that are going to be available? But let's be real, a lot of people just kind of copy paste what Starship Troopers and Armor did from 50 years ago. So,
well, to be fair, I mean, if you're talking about Marines, whether it be 5 years from now or 500 years from now, you just need to get the swearing down properly. So whatever the new swear words are, that's all because otherwise they do the same thing, right? They break shit. That's just
they show up, they kill people, they break things.
Yeah.
And explosions.
Yes. I'm actually a big fan of the 40K novel, or some of the 40K novels. I like Mill SF. I think I have mixed opinions about Stakely's novel Armor, but big fan of Starship Troopers, the Forever War. I was enjoying Galaxy's Edge, which is like the successful indie novel of the last 6 years. It's just sometimes when a genre gets popular, it starts getting a little derivative.
Speaking of Star Wars, are you a Star Wars or a Star Trek guy?
Historically, Star Wars. Like I grew up on Star Wars just because I inherited that from my parents. You couldn't pay me to watch Star Wars nowadays. I think it's been completely run into the ground.
Yeah.
Recommended starting with 40K novels, anything Dan Abnett. I'm a big Dan Abnett fanboy. He did the Eisenhorn trilogy, which is pretty grim. He also did Gaunt's Ghosts, which is more traditional Mill SF. He also did Horus Heresy, which is like a grander technological scale. You could also just go straight to the comedy series and start with Kyle Fiskane, which is hilarious. He is the hero of the Imperium, and he's the only one who knows that he's a fraud because he's actually a coward. It's just things work out for him. The entire premise of that series is great.
Oh, that's all. I like those series where the hero has no business being the hero, and they kind of know it. There's a movie that's coming out that's kind of the premise, right? Is like it's one of those they take a guy and no.
There's not a movie coming out of this, but
they take a guy and say you're the only one who knows this thing that really in freaking NASA a bunch of people should know, and
budget cuts, they had to lay him off.
What's that?
Budget cuts, right. They had to lay him off.
Right, but he's just like no, I put the knot in astronaut. No, I don't.
Hey, the reluctant hero is a fantastic trope. Obviously, but in general, it's good.
It depends how reluctant, though, because like Luke Skywalker was an annoyingly reluctant hero. It's like, oh, I can't live in. He's just a whiny little bitch, right? And sometimes,
but the movies got worse.
Yeah, and even with it's especially true with like YA reluctant heroes, right? Harry Potter's a little bit annoying, especially the first few years. But on the other hand, Katniss Everdeen kind of leaned into it. So she didn't whine about it too much.
Yeah, so that all comes from Hero with 1,000 Faces and people treating that as a formula rather than an analysis. The hero's journey has to have that step of the hero rejecting the call to adventure, even though that's like typically the worst part of the story.
See, I don't buy that. I don't know why they would. I hate it when they have rules like that because it's like, why does it have to do that? It doesn't.
So the hero's journey makes sense if you think of it as this is the narrative structure of a juvenile becoming an adult. But that there are stories other than a juvenile becoming an adult. Sure, everyone on this planet can appreciate the need to mature, the need to come of age. Everyone can appreciate that. But then they would try to apply it to horror movies. A slasher fic. Where's the hero's journey in the slasher fic? And you're like, what?
Run!
Aren't slasher fics all about the villain anyway? Really?
Yeah.
Depends on which director.
Oh.
But Cabin in the Woods was basically just a meta joke, right?
Mike hasn't seen any movies.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
And I haven't seen any horror movies, so.
We're going to struggle on movie overlaps. I'm not a huge movie buff. I'm more of a anime guy.
So do you watch B and C rated Christmas movies? Because Ro can talk forever about those.
Dude.
My family just rewatches How the Grinch Stole Christmas every year.
Oh, the tragedy.
Now, wait, hold on. The cartoon from the 70s or that Jim Carrey abomination?
The original.
The cartoon. Okay, but that's all right then. That's fine. It's like watching a Christmas story, right?
Good God. Last year, my family had the weirdest Christmas movie selection. We did watch The Grinch. Then we watched Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship, and then we watched Blade Runner 2049. And they were great movies. We all enjoyed them. We all like sat on the couch having a few drinks. Not Christmas related at all, but hey, they were good.
Yeah, no, if it's a good movie, that's all right. And when I first saw Lord of the Rings, I absolutely loved it. I tried to sit through it the other day, and sitting down for 3 hours now to watch a movie you kind of have to plan for that at a certain point.
You got to turn off the lights, crank up the volume, have nowhere else to be.
Yeah.
It's an investment, but it's worth it.
Dan, you had to go here.
Ah, there we go.
Die Hard, Dan.
So, just fun facts. I've never seen Bad Santa, and I've never seen any of the Blade Runner movies.
I haven't seen Blade Runner either.
Not even the Blade.
You bring a cyberpunk guy on, you're like, I haven't actually seen the genre-defining pieces.
No, we haven't. Neither one of us. Sorry.
Actually, I'm going to complain real fast. Cyberpunk got started in the literary world and then got abducted by the visual arts mediums. Because, like, everyone knows it started with Neuromancer, which itself built on, the previous sci-fi tradition, except it was like, ew, but what if things sucked? It got popular because of Blade Runner, and then it got popular because of Ghost in the Shell, and it completely became a visual aesthetic that if you go back to the founding works, they barely qualify as cyberpunk anymore. Because, like, Akira, if you're familiar with that movie, breaks so many rules and conventions that you would expect of the cyberpunk genre, even though it's also stated as defining the genre. Because Akira is all about psychic powers and like bike gangs.
So it'll not be a shock to anyone who watches our show regularly, but I DNF Neuromancer.
I'm in good company then. That's not a good book.
Okay.
It's like solidly okay.
I thought we were going to have our first guest get up and leave.
I mean, if my dog has a crash out upstairs, I might have to leave, but over opinions, nah.
Go ahead, Mike. Ask your dumb question.
Okay, so there's only one right answer, and about 90% of our guests get it wrong. They agree with Ro, and not me. So here's what I want you to visualize. You're going down the main drag of your city. You're in a saddle. That saddle is either on
wait, my cyberpunk city or my actual city?
Your actual city.
Okay.
That saddle can either be on a griffin or a T-Rex. Which one do you choose and why? There's only one right answer.
Yeah, I'm going with my gut saying griffin.
Oh, you're wrong. Okay. Why? Tell us why you're wrong.
Okay, look. The T-Rex, the torso is too large. I'd have to be riding it side saddle. That's ridiculous. My legs do not splay this wide open to ride a T-Rex saddle.
That is a new one. Okay, I like it. We could have you like on a pedestal saddle, though.
Oh, like the way you ride an elephant?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice saddle, though.
Make way for Prince James Krake,
You're not the first person to bring up the size of the T-Rex's neck in relation to how wide you can spread your legs.
Well, I'm not afraid of being that high.
I mean, you're choosing the griffin, so clearly not. But
well, just that better be a well-trained griffin that'll grab me when I fall off.
Well, it's got a saddle on it. I guess you have to assume a certain level of
some straps, maybe a safety parachute.
I don't know if the parachute's going to open that fast enough for you to, halt your decline.
So, what's your latest book right now, James?
My latest is Takedown Request. This is book 3 in my detective cyberpunk story. This is my attempt on a serial killer story. Although after I wrote it, I found out he's technically not a serial killer. He is a mission-oriented killer, as per the FBI. Because a serial killer picks people at random, whereas my guy is hunting down a vendetta, and the detective has to figure out who, why, and how to stop them in time.
Well, a serial killer's not random. I mean, they
That
have
is my definition.
there's like a connection between them. Yeah.
That is a different type of spree killer.
Oh, okay. I thought a serial killer was like, okay, I'm going to go kill all of someone who does this job or something else, you know?
I think that would, if it was like I'm going to kill bankers or something, I
Right.
think that would still be considered random.
Yay. Oh, sorry. I wasn't supposed to cheer, was I?
Yeah, speaking completely hypothetically, YouTube, completely hypothetically.
I mean, you didn't say lawyers because that was just too easy. So I appreciate that.
I mean, I could have said CEOs. And
Fair.
I kind of spooked myself because I was like releasing this right after there was a certain crime committed in New York City. And I
Yeah.
was like,
So your whole series is about a serial killer, or I'm sorry,
No,
a mission-oriented killer?
I've got 3 books. And each, that's how you found them. Each one is a different crime. And the promise is by the end of the book that you bought, that crime is going to be solved.
Mhm.
Now, the detective has his own stuff going on. And there is series through lines progressing, primarily, with things like why did he get demoted to the lowest rank, even though he was one of the most successful detectives? What's wrong with his relationship with his wife? Where is his missing brother? Why does he keep getting pulled into these high stakes political issues? But if you buy a book, by the end of that book, that plot is wrapped up.
Good
So
man.
do you have this all plotted out for X amount of books?
Not really. I have a trajectory planned out, and I have the outlines of a few successive books planned. I actually have book 4 drafted. I finished drafting that 2 weeks ago, right before I went to Gen Con. And that's going to be getting edited at some point. I actually have a lot of manuscripts to edit and release. Writing is a lot more fun than editing. I think you guys can agree.
Sometimes.
I like editing, so I'm just weird.
Yeah, I try to live 2 books beyond where I've released, because, like, for example, I use a dual POV in Gamma Coin and Takedown Request, where you get both the detective and the other key character of the plot. But the thing is that the other character isn't necessarily happening simultaneously with the detective. So there are events at the start of Takedown Request that happened during Gamma Coin while the detective was in a gang shootout. But they're not about the detective, it's about the other character. So I try to stay ahead so I can actually foreshadow and line up the timeline. So if I throw in something like, oh, hey, on November 27th, they captured a gold asteroid and landed it in the Nevada desert. I can then be using that in, say, book 5, because I've already established that element of the world early on as a throwaway piece of description.
So you must have really good notes.
Kind of. I have a spreadsheet that is every day of the year. And then it's just this is what's happening on this day. This is the weather. And
Every day of the year?
So I can find it.
Oh, yes. Spreadsheets are awesome.
You might want to turn off your camera, Mike. I think you might have an accident. Every day of the year? That's gross.
That's awesome.
Okay, hold up. How long do you think it takes to solve a murder mystery?
I don't know.
240 pages.
Roughly. But in story, it was 9 days. So I had key events over those 9 days, and it's okay, well, how much time is going to elapse before the manhunt to find this kid who brained a congressman's son at a bar over kissing his girlfriend? I gave it about a week, so there's a week gap, and then I have a whole book of actions that happen there, and then so a week later he's on vacation with his wife when the girl from his backstory shows up and says, by the way, you're looking into this murderer for me. Then I've got a week of action. Then he gets kicked out and such. And it fills up.
how many books are going to be in this series?
This series is intentionally open-ended. At some point, I'm going to write a trilogy that takes place about 10 years later. And
Okay.
my plan is to fully write the trilogy out, edit that out, and then release them as a set.
So of the 3 books you have so far, how much time has taken place within that world?
3 months.
Okay.
I'm also working on a side story, which is about 6 years prior, in a different part of the world. So that's where the spreadsheet gets really big.
So how long have you been writing? And you have what, 13 books? Is that the number we settled on?
Yeah.
Well, that's not counting books that I deleted without ever publishing. So technically, I've been writing since I was 14.
Okay, but since you've published, how long has that been?
I think I started in COVID.
Like 5
So
years.
like
Maybe
5
4
years? 4 years? Okay.
You've written 13 books in 5 years.
I write about 6 a year and delete a few.
So when you write your chapter, how many passes do you go over the chapter before you upload to Royal Road? Is it one and
Royal
done?
Road,
Just
I wanna-
upload?
yeah. I mean, I don't make typos, or rather, I don't make many typos. It's like one typo every other chapter. So the books I actually charge money for get like 3 to 5 full revisions. Royal Road's for fun.
I want to go back to this I throw books away
Mhm.
or delete books thing. Do you actually delete them?
I mean, they get moved to an archive online
Okay.
and never looked at again. I have an entire alien invasion story that I got to the end. It's just like, yeah, this didn't work. There's a lot of good ideas in this, but this just ain't right.
But you wrote it all the way to the end anyway.
Mhm.
How many words do you write a day?
Back during COVID, I was doing about 3,500 a day. Nowadays, it's about 1,500 to 2,000 a day.
Okay. And you said you went to Gen Con. Were you selling or were you just going for
Oh.
fun?
I was there with my buddies playing games.
Oh, okay.
I always go through the author area and like try and scan for good ideas. And a lot of them I just can't replicate. Like clearly one of the, or at least can't yet replicate, because the people that pay for a Gen Con booth have like 20 to 30 books out in paperback across a variety of genres. And I'm like, I've got 6, 4 of which are in the same genre. So
You'd be surprised.
You know, I have 6 books out and 4 in the same genre, and then this one is a new. Sorry, we have a thing.
It's real hard to convert your readers, isn't it?
Sometimes less is more, though, because the most books I've ever sold at one show is when I only had 3 books.
I mean, yeah,
I haven't come close
I can
to
see
that.
that working if you're a good salesman. I'm not a good salesman.
So I'll tell you, James Maxey, I've done a couple booths with him. He went to Gen Con, and I think he sold 175 books.
Wow.
And he said he has 25. He's been writing for 30 years. He'll tell you he's not prolific. He's just old.
Right.
But
It works.
But he said that the woman across the way from him, across the aisle, she had 4 books and she sold nearly twice as many. And her whole thing was, I write badass women characters for badass people. And he's like, who's going to say, no, I'm lame. I don't want that. And he's like, she outsold me almost 2 to 1. And, he's like, I had 25 books. She had 4. So there's something about getting that tagline that just, immediately converts.
Taglines really help. And a tagline like, hey, I'm trying to update Cyberpunk to like post-internet isn't nearly as catchy as badass women doing badass things.
It doesn't work as well on a t-shirt, does it?
I have some designs that if I had the artistic talent, I think would make for good t-shirts, but
Jim McKay says it's all about the pitch. So
it really is. It really is. There's a reason. So it's not within arm's reach, but my comedy novel has always been the easiest book to sell because it's literally just, hey, you remember the GameStop short squeeze fiasco? And do you ever play World of Warcraft? If you want to combine those two things, I've got the book for you.
How do you combine those two things?
Well, the NPCs
Buy the book and find
in the
out.
video game are running a scam on the auction house, and they're getting away with it because of how badly programmed the video game is. That is infinite money glitch.
That's not a bad glitch.
So this time it's legit, Ro. But this one, I was told I should pitch it as Star Trek meets Hitchhiker's Guide, and by far did the best last event I had.
That
was
is so effective. I hate comparing my books to the other books, but it is so effective.
Yep.
I think what I'm going to try is like, what's the best book you ever read? Well, this one's just like that.
It's got characters. It's got a 3-act structure.
Right. People say stuff.
So I'm terrible at interviews, so I want to go back now and talk about Royal Road again.
Sure.
Now, again, like I said, Laura was trying to convince me that I should do that, and I'm just not. But
so what you could do, by the way, is stub it, where you release like the first 10 chapters on Royal Road and leave them up for a bit before you release the book on Amazon, and then like trim it down or remove it from Royal Road once you've gotten that free advertising.
Okay, wow, did not think of that. So I was going to say, if I was going to do that, how would I get started on Royal Road? How many chapters would you say I should have written before I start? You know, take a complete newbie who wants to learn something, which is not me. I don't want to learn anything new. But anyway, how would you do it? What is the best way to do it?
So first of all, there are guides that you can find on the forum. A lot of more successful authors than me keep a running guide on what the latest and greatest strategy is, and you can just go on there and find that. I wish I had it handy to just link it to you. I think the real inside scoop is what you actually need is a network of other authors also on Royal Road that are willing to drop a link to your story on their latest chapter.
Okay.
Or you throw money at the Royal Road ads, which is actually like the highest return on investment of any book ad you can buy. But the shout outs are free advertising, and you know, you need people that will give you early reviews and such, because if you don't get those two things, it doesn't matter. Unless you have like the most absurdly catchy premise, like it's an isekai except he's a chicken. Like if you're not doing something like that, like if you're doing like a standard story, you really got to have the connections. Or that's 3 chapters on day 1, 2 on day 2, daily releases for a week. So 18 minimum.
So if I do a book about a guy who's stuck in his boxers in some sort of game show with a cat that can talk, that should just seal the deal for me, right?
Well, you might find that you have some competition in that mean.
I don't know. It sounds like learning a whole other thing again.
It's just a new version of networking. Aren't writers always learning new ways to network and market?
No, we're usually avoiding it.
Supposedly, yeah. I mean, ideally we are, right?
Yeah.
Mike is.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much.
But yet you do it so well. Look at you. You went across the country to network with people.
Yeah, well, and what did I do? I volunteered at the Freebie Lounge so I wouldn't have to be stuck talking to them all the time.
And yet you did anyway. You got a dick on your head. Oh, sorry. So anybody doesn't know what I just meant there, go to the Bald&Balding X site or Twitter, whatever you call it as. There's a little video there of Mike getting a temporary tattoo on the back of his head, and it's a quill with a couple of bottles of ink at the bottom of it, right? But it's arranged kind of. Do you have a picture of it you're trying to find, Mike?
I am downloading it now so I can put it up.
Picture it well.
Tim, you're right. It was like Mike was the star of the show that wasn't.
Story of my life. Okay, so let me go here.
He also has a good George R. Martin story to tell you that will make you cringe.
Share screen, window. Where are you? Oh, sorry, I have to open it first. There we go.
Yeah. All this new technology.
I know this
You got
newfangled
it.
stuff.
You can do it. You can do it, Mike.
Get off my lawn. Okay, so there it is. So
If you're squeamish, turn away now.
the deal is Nicholas Fuller, who's also a podcaster, he interviewed Andy Pelican, and he asked him, "How do you publish so many books a year?" Which he doesn't publish nearly as many as you. So, but Andy being Andy, he said, "Well, it's big dick energy." And Nicholas is like, "Well, I can't get a temporary tattoo with that and have it on at Worldcon. So how about if we make it a feather quill and a couple ink pots and say big pen energy, and I'll get temporary tattoos made." So he did, and since people here keep saying they're going to do bot farms, so we get up to 500 subscribers, and I'm going to get a tattoo, but they don't follow through. So therefore, this was the answer. I got it there with, you can see the tattoo on the back of my head. That's Andy Pelican, and it says Big Quill Energy. The glare on my bald head is just kind of bad, but anyway, it's all over Twitter.
The two dark spots are the ink pots, yeah.
And then the quill goes.
Let your imagination run wild.
Yeah.
That must have started so many conversations for you.
You know, the funny thing is I went to like 3 panels the whole time I was there, and they were all during the 2 days I had that tattoo, and I sat up towards the front, so don't know what the people behind me thought, but, you know,
Your
there it was.
is all over Facebook now.
You know, that's
bad marketing.
So the funny thing is that my boss at work follows me on Facebook, so when something gets posted to Instagram and I'm tagged, she sees it. So I'm wondering if I'm going to get a comment tomorrow.
Okay, everybody, you've heard that. Tag Mike on Instagram, and his boss will see it. So.
Yeah, most of my coworkers have no idea I publish.
That's probably smarter. I thought I could sell more books if I let them know. So, and I have sold like 5, or I have 5 people who will buy my books now. So, you know, even this one, the latest one that I published.
Shameless, absolutely shameless.
Ro, do you have a book coming out that you should be plugging?
I should, but I'm not that guy. Hey, tell us the George R. R. Martin story. Now you should, James. Absolutely, that's what you're here to do.
Yeah, I've got 3 books in a series. Everyone says that once you have 3 books in a series, the sales take off. Right.
They're wrong.
Wait until you have a completed series. Then it just, you know, it goes up.
I'm trying to emulate the Dresden Files. Okay.
The number of people
instead of Wizard Detective.
If I could count the number of people who have stopped at my booth at a Comic-Con and say, "Oh yeah, I got to make a circuit around first. I'll be back."
That's the polite way of saying, sorry, I already spent my money elsewhere.
Thank you, Tim. So tell us the George R. R. Martin story, Mike.
So, Adrian Gibson, who has a podcast on Fanfiatic, and you should totally watch that if we're not live. Otherwise, you know, stay here. But he and his 2 co-hosts, they lined up Brandon Sanderson, George R. R. Martin, Ryan Cahill, and the Roan Horse. I forget her first name. I don't know who she is. But anyway, all big name authors had him on a panel at Worldcon. And the very last question, when they had the open mic for people, is a guy walked up and said, "George R. R., you're not looking very healthy. You're probably not going to live much longer. Is Brandon Sanderson going to finish your series?" And that's when they muted the mic and called it a day. Everyone booed him, and they just said, "Okay, and we're done here."
I'm glad they booed him, actually, because I mean, for as much crap as you and I, you know, on this channel that hardly anybody sees, gives George for not finishing a book in 15 years, that's just really uncalled for.
Y'all want to hear my conspiracy theory?
Yeah, please.
I think it's already written. I think it's more or less exactly what happened in the show. And he just but the show obviously just did it badly. And he just started sitting on it. because he was waiting for the bad press to die down, for people to forget how bad season 8 of the HBO show was. And then they didn't forget. And then they started expecting something different. And then the years started piling on. And he just has it sitting there, and he can't publish it because it's what everyone is going to complain about. That's what I think is honestly what's going on. I think he's just lying in interviews.
Does he have kids?
No.
Oh. Well, maybe he's just setting up a good endowment for someone, and say, you can release this upon my death.
For the record, I believe George R.R. Martin publishes books under another name.
Interesting.
I could not tell you for the life of me what that name is, but I'm pretty sure he has a different pen name.
Well, I mean, that's the idea of a pen name, I guess. So good on him.
So I will also tell you if I'm telling stories from Worldcon. And by the way, it was a temporary tattoo. It is long gone.
Use some of that great shampoo you make, huh?
Hey, I got my secrets. But anyway, while we were there, we actually saw Ryan Cahill, and we were talking to him for a little bit. And then he's like, guys, I'm sorry, but I have to go. They're setting up for this big interview or this big thing we're having today, and I got to do some of the heavy lifting, so I got to go. I'm sorry. And I'm like, dude, come on. That's awesome. So,
of course, maybe
he's actually
saying that to get away.
Well, I mean, I have that effect on people, but I think it was real. Because when I told other people, they're like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Ryan is just a stand-up guy. And he's also 6'5", so he's literally a stand-up guy.
So how was the bar scene? Were there a lot of good kind of events at the bar?
BarCon was crowded.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
And noisy and everything I hate. So I did go 2 nights because Mahir, who will come back on our show, by the way, Rose, so you can ask him what's the most embarrassing doctor question you've ever had to deal with? Which he still remembers. He bought me a beer. And actually, the guy who won the Hugo Award, he came by the last night when they gave out the award, and everyone stood up and gave him a round of applause. I don't know his name because I'm terrible with names. But he won. And everyone clapped, and then I snuck out because everyone was focusing on him, and I could make my escape.
Oh, nobody paying any attention to you, Michael, because the Hugo Award man was there.
No, this is why I made my escape, because I hate that crowded room, lots of people. Ugh, hate it. And no one was talking to me. I was trying to find a quiet corner, but there was none, so it was very unfortunate.
You were looking for the dark corner to brood in, you say.
Brood. Dark and broody.
So what I think is now outdated advice always was that if you wanted to get traditionally published, go to a convention and sit at the bar and you will find an agent. I suspect that the internet made that knowledge too well known and that no longer works.
Not quite. If you go to Dragon Con, you go to the bar and ignore the convention, just go to the bar. You can talk to every publishing house and dozens of agents. Now, will they sign you up? I don't know, but they'll probably get a free drink from you. So, that's probably why they're there. But I know people who have gone and, they're like, who do you want to talk to? They're there at the bar. So now you have to, want to actually talk to people. I mean, I became an author because I want to not have to talk to them and just make up the words that they say. But, if you're actually personable, that might be a way to go.
It comes and goes with me.
Yeah, it usually comes with it's in proportion to how much you drink.
I actually get quieter when I drink.
It's not quite linear. 2 beers? Yes. 8 beers?
8 beers were on top of tables.
No, I'm underneath it. If 8 beers, hell, 3, I'm not going to be able to walk straight. But then, I'm old, so.
It's like the Olympics. It's something you have to train for. You just don't jump in there,
It takes many years of alcoholism to be able to drink 12 beers at a bar.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have to reach way back in that machine to kind of. It's not like running either. You don't have that base anymore. You got to kind of rebuild back up to that. So,
It not only takes years, but also takes about $150 or more
oh,
to get
yeah,
to
yeah.
those 12 beers.
It's not a, but any good training session is going to cost you.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
Okay, James, is there anything we really should have asked you that we did not?
Probably like a big list of things.
I kind of inserted a lot of things I wanted to say.
That's good because you take control. We don't.
Yeah,
So.
you really have to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of glad you didn't ask when my next book is coming out because I don't currently know when my zombie apocalypse book is coming out.
Okay.
It's zombie apocalypse. Now, we've had zombie discussion on this channel before. And what was it, Mike? What were the zombies doing?
So talk to a guy who was doing an anthology, and it was with zombies, and he put in big bold letters, "No zombie porn." And he said that over half of all the submissions were zombie porn because apparently that's a real thing that exists out there. And I did not look it up because I do not want to know.
I mean, I've seen some anime that touch on that. It's not good. Like, what?
So apparently there's a whole subgenre of that. If you really want to scar your worst villain, then, send them links.
Okay. All right. Actually, there is something I should be showing. I'm going to frame this as a question for you guys. How should I be showing this? So this is my detectives novel. It takes place in the year 2140.
Okay.
This is my space opera. It takes place ambiguously year 3000. They are the same universe. My zombie apocalypse novel takes place in 2012. Well, sorry, 2013. Same universe. It's one big timeline. And there are persistent characters. How the hell do I market that?
So your zombie apocalypse takes place 23 years before your other book?
No, so Cyberpunk is 2140.
Okay, so 100.
Zombie book is going to be 2013, where the timeline takes the major divergence in reality.
All right. So you're 100 something years past the zombie apocalypse.
Right.
I mean, that's smart because boomers are basically, like zombies. So you got a lot of, yeah, I don't know how you market that. But then if I knew how to market, I wouldn't have a show with, 400 and some odd subscribers. I'm sorry, we would not have a show. I want to make sure I, put Roe in here with that.
Well, that's
Yeah, our combined efforts have given us almost 440 subscribers.
Yeah.
You can almost hear the cynicism.
Feel proud of 400 subscribers because that makes you like a 1%er, which is a wild thing to say when the top channels are and the millions of people. That's how bad YouTube is. It's a grind.
Oh, and one thing I have to just crush now is no. The goal was 500 by the end of 2024. You all failed us.
No,
and then,
you said by Christmas, and Christmas is coming up in 4 months.
And then people started saying WorldCon, which I never agreed to, and it still didn't happen. No, you all never made the bot farms like you promised. You lost it. Okay,
well,
all you get is that temporary tattoo picture.
It is the 18th of August right now, and I will say 650 by Christmas of this year. I will not get a tattoo on my head, but I will get ink, and I don't have any on me.
At least that's a reason to get ink.
I will get to choose what I want and where I want it.
Oh, if we get to 650
you're really stacking the deck in your favor there.
What's that?
You're stacking the deck in your favor there.
Yeah.
I respect it.
No desire to do that.
So you heard it here first. Roe will get 650 and the date at which that occurs tattooed on him if we get there by Christmas of this year, by New Year's of this year.
I will get something done. And it will be something you can see and blah, blah, blah.
And he'll also get a couple teardrops tattooed on.
That, man. Nothing on my face. Don't touch the moneymaker.
All right.
James, you have been a wonderfully patient guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.
And you have like dinner guests or something, right?
Yes, my brother is currently making mashed potatoes 30 feet away from me and waiting for me to come upstairs.
Just mashed potatoes? That doesn't sound
And
like a very
steak,
good
but I
thing.
wasn't I was gonna brag that I'm having ribeye steak tonight.
Oh, steak and
Okay.
potatoes, that's different. Yeah. What the hell are you doing
Yeah.
here with us? If there's
Yeah.
steak been cooking, bake off ages ago. It's like, sorry, fellas, there's a steak calling and it's still hot.
Pretty much.
Or gotta check out what my dog is doing. You never know. He might eat your steak if you're too late.
She is actually barking outside because apparently my brother let her out. And
Okay.
I have a chipmunk problem in my downspouts.
Okay.
Gotta love having a hunting dog.
Oh yes.
The joys of home
Well-
ownership.
Well, James, we will let you go to have your decent meal, which you deserve after putting up for an hour with us. So thank you. And when you put out your new book, whichever it may be, because we
The
never
zombie
bothered to ask,
apocalypse book.
The zombie apocalypse one.
let us know, and we will shout out to the masses that follow us.
Thank you very much. I will.
That 1%.
Yeah. Okay, so now it is time to do the awkward wave goodbye.
Oh, wait, don't go
Oh,
yet.
nope.
When-
Sorry, I lied.
When are
Make
we
it so
back?
even more awkward.
We're not back for a while, right? Yeah, no, we're
We're
not
back next
till the-
week on Tuesday.
Yep, the 26th, next Tuesday at 8 p.m. with C.K. Kesterson.
But that's probably not true because I talked about 8 different people at Worldcon who are going to be on the channel. So watch often. We will be updating,
Oh,
maybe even
You
this
know
or
how
next
to
week.
work.
okay.
Yeah, well, when there's like he has a YouTube show and he interviews indie authors, then you all of a sudden become popular.
Yeah, then you're
Even
the
if you're
pretty
me.
girl.
Yeah, exactly. I just look at my tattoo. It's of a penis.
All right. That's
So
enough.
anyway, on that note, we're going to go because I don't know how we can top that.
All right. Thanks
Okay,
for joining us,
now
everybody.
it's the awkward wave.
Yeah,
Happy Monday.
awkward way, yes.